This is why your weight loss plan isn't working if you are still drinking alcohol.
64 calories of beer, Nick has 64 calories of beer.
I'm going to be honest, many people probably don't want to hear what I'm going to say on this subject because it might mean making some major changes to your life and in particular, your social life. But the truth is that alcohol can have major impacts on whether or not you reach your fat loss goals. And even social drinking and those like low-calorie, hard seltzers can sabotage your progress if you're not careful. My client Johnny, for example, it's a great example of this. He loved going out for beers with his friends. It was also something that ran in his family, but he didn't realize he was one of the biggest contributors to the extra weight he was packing on around his midsection, or maybe he did, but he obviously didn't want to do anything about it. It wasn't until Johnny learned 6 key reasons why his alcohol consumption was affecting his progress that he started to see the weight come off. And I'll tell you right now that it was not just the calories in his drinks. When Johnny implemented a few strategies around alcohol consumption that I'm going to be sharing in this video, he lost 35 pounds in 6 months and then lost another 20 after completing our coaching program. Plus, he's kept that weight off long term. If you want to learn the 6 key reasons I share with Johnny and get the breakdown of the exact strategies that I teach my clients to manage alcohol and social drinking, keep watching because I'm going to give you a full coaching session today on alcohol intake in this video. Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Andres Ayesta and I'm a registered dietitian who specializes in helping men gain strength and drop the 20 to 30 pounds of fat that they haven't been able to lose on their own using a proven process that I call the Fit Dad Blueprint. My mission is to help busy dads like myself stop struggling with the weight war that I call it and finally lose the excess fat for good without fad diets, fasting, cutting carbs, and any of that nonsense. Each week on this channel, I teach you powerful lessons about nutrition and fat loss that have been tried and tested by my one-on-one clients for over 12 years so you can make progress in your fat loss and muscle gain journey as well. Now this week we're talking all about these things that you see here on my screen as props. I'm not just drinking and doing a YouTube video, I promise. We're talking all about alcohol because many guys don't realize the impact that their social drinking is having on their body, or again, maybe they do, but they're choosing not to do something about it, or they don't know how. Now, before we get into this topic, I want to give you a quick disclaimer. The purpose of this video is not to promote alcohol consumption, and I'm definitely not here to say that alcohol is good for you. There are many negative health impacts of drinking, especially binge drinking, and we're going to talk all about those drawbacks today. But as a dietitian, it's really important that the advice I'm giving you is realistic. So I know many of you guys drink socially, as I do as well. So my goal today is to give you the knowledge of how to include alcohol if you want to in moderation without affecting your goals that you're working towards to. Does that seem fair? So with that being said, let's get into the basics of alcohol consumption. This is going to help you have a better understanding when I reveal the 6 reasons alcohol is affecting your progress in just a few minutes. Now let's get some key facts about alcohol first. The first thing that you should know about alcohol is that it is relatively calorie dense. Alcohol has 7 calories per gram. You're gonna remember that for later on, so a lot of things are gonna make sense. This is slightly more than the 4 calories per gram that you find in protein and carbs, and slightly less than the 9 calories per gram that you're gonna find in fat. When you have an alcoholic drink, first it is absorbed into the bloodstream pretty quickly with a very large amount going from the stomach into the blood, especially when you're drinking on an empty stomach. Now, once it's in the blood, alcohol circulates to the body and it's broken down in the liver like all the other toxins because alcohol is actually a toxic substance, which I think many people forget or don't realize or choose not to even think about that way. Now, the liver can only break down alcohol at a specific rate. If there's more alcohol than the liver can handle, the rest of it stays in the bloodstream until it can be processed, which is how it ends up affecting your brain. And this is like how you get tipsy and eventually get drunk and eventually get wasted when you continue on the alcohol consumption. Now, alcohol isn't a major problem when it's consumed in moderation, but moderation can mean different things to different people. Let's look at some data. According to the National Institute of Health, drinking in moderation means 1 standard drink for women per day and 2 for guys.
Yeah, boy.
But that does not mean that you should look at that and say, well, I guess that means I can have 14 drinks on a Saturday if I don't drink all week, right? The definition of heavy drinking drinking differs from different sources, but it is often defined for men as consuming 5 or more drinks on any day or 15 or more per week. And for women, it's 4 or more on any day and 8 or more drinks per week. Now, for both men and women, it is considered heavy drinking if that happens at least once per month over the course of a year. Binge drinking or any pattern of drinking that meets a description of a heavy drinker is not in line with a healthy lifestyle. You probably know that. And I'm going to be completely honest that it will be nearly impossible to reach your weight loss goals in optimal health overall if this is what your alcohol consumption looks like. Now, in my opinion, the definition of drinking in moderation is still pretty high if you have your health and weight in mind. But for most of my clients, I recommend setting a drink limit of no more than 2 drinks per occasion, no more than 1 to 2 times per week. And one additional note that I want to make and add in here is that some people should be drinking 0 alcohol, and that includes those who are obviously managing health conditions that can be worsened by alcohol, maybe are taking medications that could interact with alcohol, of course, if you're pregnant or planning to become pregnant, and needless to say, are under the age of 21. Now, what is the standard drink? I like to use with my clients standard drink portion sizes so they can get a better understanding of what's in it. So that's why I have 3 little props in here to actually show you. I've been talking a lot about different numbers of drinks, so I want to clarify what that actually means. One standard drink, which is about 14 grams of alcohol, have all about the same amount of calories. So I'm going to start with a beer. 12 ounces of beer. This has about 120 calories. Now, this is a Corona Premier, so this is one of those ones that are a little bit lower in carbs, so it's probably going to be about 100 calories. But let's just pretend this is a regular Corona. It has 120 calories and 14 grams of alcohol. When you take, for example, 5 ounces of wine, which is actually going to be in here what we have, it's going to be about exactly the same, about 14 grams of alcohol, 120 calories. And then if you take a spirit, like in this case, tequila, 1.5 ounces of it, it's going to have about the same amount, 120 calories and 14 grams of alcohol. Now that we got these guys out of the way, then we can kind of go a little bit deeper. When you're going out to drink at a restaurant or bar, keep in mind that cocktails and mixed drinks contain sometimes more than just one standard drink, plus the extra calories from whatever is mixed in, so that can really add up. Now that you have an overview of the basics of alcohol, I'm going to reveal the 6 key reasons alcohol impacts your weight loss. These are the same lessons that Johnny learned to help him see a huge result in his journey when he combined them with the alcohol management strategies that I'm going to get into in a few minutes. So let's get into this with reason number 1. The first reason, you probably know it and probably expected it, is calorie density. The most basic way that alcohol can slow down your fat loss results or leads to additional weight gain is because it adds up a ton of extra calories to your diet. As I mentioned before, alcohol is fairly calorie dense with 7 calories per gram, and if you consume more calories than you burn each day, you're going to gain weight over time. Obviously, you know that. This is known as a calorie surplus. For most of my clients, I recommend creating a calorie deficit at around 250 to 400 calories per day to make sure that it's something that they can sustain. What this means is that each day they eat 250 to 400 calories less than their body is burning. Now, one beer, this guy right here, it can be anywhere between 120 and 150 calories. So even having a couple of beers in a night without accounting for those calories can cause you to not be in a calorie deficit anymore. Now, let's say that you try to compensate for those 2 beers by cutting out 300 calories from somewhere else in your day. Well, that could work, but you might find yourself feeling hungry during the day since you're replacing a nutrient-dense food options with beer. Now, that brings us to the second reason that alcohol can impact your process, which is empty calories. When you drink alcohol, you are consuming what we often call empty calories, meaning calories that do not provide any type of nutrient value. I'll give you an example of why this is important. Say you have 300 calories worth of beer. Because that beer doesn't have any fiber, protein, or other nutrients, it's not going to fill you up very long. Plus, it's also a liquid. You're going to be hungry again quickly, which can lead to consuming more calories than your body needs. On the other hand, let's say that instead of the beer, you had 300 calories in the form of, a Greek yogurt bowl, topped with fruit and nuts. This has a combination of protein and fiber that would keep you feeling much fuller for longer, so you wouldn't feel like having another snack or a meal again for a while. High protein and high fiber meals are great for hunger management to help with weight loss, while alcohol is definitely not great at managing hunger for sure. Now, on top of that, alcoholic drinks can also have a lot of calories from carbohydrates in the form of simple sugars, which is another source of empty calories. Now, the simple carbs will spike your blood sugar, which can also lead to a sugar crash and craving more sugar at the end of the day. So I already think it's pretty clear how many drawbacks alcohol has when it comes down to fat loss, but we still got 4 more reasons to go. So next up is the impact on food decisions, which I'm sure you were thinking about this already. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you went out for a few drinks and decided to come home and finish the night with the satisfying snack of carrot sticks and hummus? If you did, you're kind of weird. I'm kidding. I'm not going to judge you, but I can just about guarantee that the answer is never. When we're drinking, the first part of the brain that gets affected by alcohol is something called the prefrontal cortex, which is in charge of decision making and rational thought. When your judgment is impaired, having a couple extra drinks and then an entire pizza to yourself can suddenly seem like a great idea. Trust me, I have been there way more times than I can count. So calories directly from alcohol might not be the cause of overeating, but the decisions made while drinking alcohol can be more of a major contributor to your weight gain. I mean, think about it. Like most times that we go out drinking with our friends, even remember in my college days, what did you do after the clubs closed? You went out to eat, and it was not the healthiest things either, right? You get the point. Now moving on to reason number 4, impact on sleep. Alcohol negatively affects sleep by reducing something called REM sleep, or the rapid eye movement sleep. This is the deep sleep stage essential for cognitive function and emotional regulation. It also suppresses melatonin production, disrupting your natural sleep-wake cycle, which can also lead to poor overall sleep quality. Now, lack of sleep then has huge impacts on weight loss efforts by disrupting your hunger-regulating hormones, leading to increased appetite and cravings, especially for high-calorie foods. I track my sleep and different things like that using this thing in here that you see on my wrist. It is called a Whoop. And it tracks things like my heart rate, my sleep, and all those different things like that. I don't think there's ever been a time where when I had alcohol the night before, my recovery was good. It always turns out to be red. So obviously alcohol affects things in some way, and that's not like I'm even tracking my alcohol and put it on here. Now we got 2 reasons left to cover now, and I'll describe those quickly so we can get into some strategies that you can put into action during your next night out. Reason number 5 is the impact on digestion and nutrient absorption. Alcohol negatively impacts the digestive system by irritating the stomach lining, reducing your stomach acid, and also impairing the function of your intestines and your pancreas, which kind of limits the breakdown of the absorption of essential nutrients like vitamins and minerals. Now, this can lead to nutrient deficiencies, slowed metabolism, and disrupted blood sugar regulation. Since all of our body systems are interconnected, this can have impacts on our hormone health and eating habits that can stall the weight loss progress. And the last one is going to be something for the guys in here to really be paying attention to, which is an impact on your muscle building abilities. I hate to break this for you, but alcohol may be actively working against you if you're working hard in the gym and you're really trying to put on some muscle. Research have shown and indicates that alcohol can reduce something known as muscle protein synthesis. For example, one study found that drinking alcohol following a combination of resistance training exercises and cardio reduced the rate of muscle protein synthesis even when protein was consumed after training. That would have been a fun study to be a part of. Imagine they give you a beer and they give you a protein shake. It's a pretty good payoff after a good workout. There was also a systematic review that found that alcohol consumption post-exercise increases cortisol. It decreases levels of testosterone, yes, you heard that right, and reduces the rate of muscle protein synthesis, all of which may contribute to a lack of muscle building over time. Okay, I know that probably seemed like a lot of negatives, and I'm going to be totally honest here. There isn't really anything positive I'm going to say about drinking alcohol, and this isn't really to scare you or fearmonger, but I do want you to have the facts when you're making choices about drinking. For many people I work with, they're simply not aware of all the ways alcohol is affecting their fat loss, and just getting this understanding is enough to help them cut back on their intake. Now, I get it. There's obviously fun parts about alcohol, you know, the experience of it and all those different things, but they tend to be habitual. If you go out drinking all the time and you always drink like 5 or 6 drinks or whatever, it may be just a habit that you've always built over time. So you have to work on changing that. But now that you understand some of the consequences of drinking, now that it's a good segue to get into the strategies that I teach my clients and that I personally use when it comes down to alcohol consumption and how I still include it to stay lean and build muscle while enjoying a drink out with my friends from time to time. So here some strategies for managing impacts of alcohol. Number 1 is you need to set a drink limit and you need to be respectful of it. Before a night out, decide how many drinks you're going to have and stick to that commitment. I know it can be hard in the moment, but it is going to make it much easier to limit your intake if you firmly decide beforehand how much you're going to have. If you go into the evening thinking, I'll just have a few drinks and see how I feel, it is more likely that you're going to go overboard. I promise. I've done that. Strategy number 2, it's eat enough high fiber carbs and lean protein throughout the day. Even though you may want want to try to fit alcohol into your macros or calories for the day, do not try to eat as little as possible throughout the day to compensate for calories from alcohol that you're going to be having that night. Because drinking on an empty stomach means the alcohol is absorbed more quickly into the blood. This causes greater intoxication that can contribute to more poor judgment, including the overeating and the overdrinking. If you're going out to a restaurant or a bar in the evening, use what I like to call my P&V strategy throughout the day, which stands for protein and vegetables. Start your day with a high protein breakfast, have a meal with tons of veggies in it and a source of protein at lunch, and eat a high protein snack before you go out for the night, like a shake or maybe a protein bar or some Greek yogurt, because protein-rich foods are the key to slowing the emptying of the stomach and delaying the movement of alcohol into the small intestine, where it is actually absorbed most quickly. So this eating plan will set you up for success when you have a night out. Strategy number 3 is hydrating. I cannot emphasize this enough. I know this isn't really an exciting tip, and I'm sure you've heard of it before many times, but it's worth adding it in here as a reminder because most people start to hydrate after the fact, not before or during. It's really important to drink water along with your alcoholic drinks because alcohol dehydrates you by making you pee more. Staying hydrated helps you prevent those nasty hangover headaches and keeps you feeling better overall. To help recover from the dehydrating effects of alcohol, I typically recommend that my clients drink an electrolyte packet if they'd had a night of drinking as soon as they get back from it. Electrolytes have complex roles related to fluid balance as well as muscle and nerve function in the body, and they're lost during illness or when consuming diuretic substances like alcohol, because it makes you pee a lot. We like a brand, it's called Drip Drop, which you can find on Amazon, and I'm gonna link it in the description. Mixing it with water and drinking, it will help you replenish both fluids and electrolytes. Strategy number 4, you need to choose the right drinks. And that's the last tip I'm gonna give you today, which is something that you're definitely going to want to take note of for later. Not all drinks are created equal when it comes down to having a good time, while still making progress with weight loss and muscle gain. Of course, this doesn't mean that any drinks are completely off limits, because anything can fit into a healthy eating plan in moderation, but there are some drinks that are slightly healthier options than others. Most of the time, you'll want to choose drinks that don't have a lot of added sugar, since that can add a ton of extra calories. Some options that I recommend include things like vodka soda with lemon or lime, maybe doing a hard seltzer as long as you set a good limit for it, maybe extra dry sparkling wine, light beer, no sugar added mojitos, a vodka cranberry with diet cranberry juice, or a rum and coke with diet soda, or I don't know, something along those lines. There are many drink brands available now that also have calorie content listed in the can, and they're also advertised as a lower calorie or healthier options, so usually those are a solid choice. I also want to make sure I'm flagging a few drinks that tend to be major sources of excess calories, so you know what you might want to avoid while you're really trying to focus on your health goals. High calorie drinks include things like cream-based drinks like mudslides and white Russians, Long Island iced teas, which I love that drink. This one is a big calorie bomb with about 276 calories for just an 8.3 ounces. And they also sugary cocktails like margaritas and pina coladas are also big calorie bombs. Now there's another topic that I wanted to cover today, but I figured that this video may be too extended, which is something we teach inside of our program, which is how do we track alcohol in the form of calories or macronutrients when we're actually consuming it. And there's a whole system around it. If you want me to make a separate video about it, let me know in the comments so I can help you and create a plan for literally managing alcohol and knowing exactly how to track it. All right, but that brings us to the end of today's video, guys. When it comes down to alcohol, the best thing you can do is make informed choices. Social drinking only becomes detrimental to your results when it's excessive or the impact on your body and your weight is ignored. Alcohol doesn't have to be the enemy for fat loss, but it's important to be aware of its effects as a calorie-dense substance that can affect hormones, sleep, and other essential bodily functions. I also want to remind you that you have the power when it comes down to alcohol to set limits for yourself or to choose to not drink at all if that's actually what is best for your journey. It can be helpful to take some time to reflect on your relationship with alcohol and what your priorities are right now. But I'm hoping this video gave you the info that you need to navigate alcohol in a way that works for you and for your goals. If you have any questions for me, make sure you leave a comment below and make sure you also hit that subscribe button if you're looking for more advice from a registered dietitian and also a dad who gets the challenges that you're going through, because I have been there myself, and also on the things that you want to work on to be and try to stay fit as a parent. Thanks for tuning in today, and I'll see you guys next week in a brand new video. See you soon.